Good morning, Rebels, and welcome back to my life. Been a few days since I made a video. Things are crazy, as always. Life is very busy, and things change very fast day to day. That point was really illustrated for me today. My daughter's school made a time capsule and buried it in the ground, and in 30 years, the plan is to have a big ceremony and get everybody from the school back together and dig up the time capsule and, look at it from there. And that just got me thinking, what the heck are things going to be like 30 years from now? Things change so freaking fast these days. Who knows if the school is even going to be there in 30 years? It might move locations like it did 10 years ago. 30 years ago, my daughter's school didn't exist. I didn't exist. 30 years ago, we didn't have the internet. We barely had computers. Here was one interesting thing about the time capsule. My daughter's school does preschool all the way through high school. And the high school got an iPhone and filled it with video interviews of themselves talking about what they thought the world would be like 30 years from now. And they put the iPhone in the time capsule along with the charging cord so that they could charge it and watch it back in the future. But will we even be using the same electrical outlets 30 years from now? If the iPhone still even works at that point, will they be able to charge it and watch it back? 30 years ago, 9/11 hadn't even happened yet. And I know that the way that changed our world might not be real to some of you, but here's an example. When I was 15 in 2001, earlier in the year that 9/11 happened, I traveled to Europe. And in Rome, I found a store selling Spanish steel weaponry. So I got myself a big old gladiator sword, full tang and everything. This thing is heavy, and it's not battle sharp, but the edge can definitely cut you. I know because I have cut myself upon it. I went back to the airport to fly back to America with the gladiator sword in my carry-on bag, and airport security opened up the bag and they were like, this is a sword. And I said, yeah, I got it in Rome. Isn't it awesome? And the security officers kind of looked at each other for a second, and I said, no joke, come on guys, I'm 15 years old. What am I gonna storm the cockpit with a gladiator sword? And they laughed at how ridiculous that was, and they let me board the plane with a sword in my carry-on baggage. In today's world, I probably would have been thrown in indefinite detention, and I would probably still be there to this day. From inside the world and our own lives, the way that the world changes isn't usually totally real to us until we throw our minds back and really remember and think about how things were when we were younger. And that's part of the value of a time capsule. It conserves that period of time better than our own memories can. So it just made me think a lot about my life and what's changed within it. I'm almost 30 years old, and I've seen a lot change within my lifetime. And I've seen the rate of that change increase exponentially. Some of those changes were bad, but I think the majority of them have been good. I don't know if we as America are improving as a society, but I think that we as humanity have improved as a species, and numbers seem to agree with that. And if we just keep it going and we don't screw up the planet too badly, then 30 years from now, my daughter can go back to a ceremony at her school, dig up the time capsule, and see what she was like when she was only 5 years old. Even with all the changes, one thing that I'm fairly sure about is that in 30 years, I'll still be writing books. You like that transition there? And speaking of which, I just sent out my last back orders of autographed copies of Mystic, meaning I have more ready to go out. All these copies of Mystic and more are sitting here waiting to be signed and shipped out to you, so check out the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, Rebels, and I will see you tomorrow and 30 years from now. Maybe. Bye!